We're at Farlow's Lake this morning. It's really warm and I can't wait to get started with the fishing. We're basically down here because a couple of weeks ago we were down for the opening of the new shop here at Farlow's and we had a great session. Carl and I caught quite a lot of carp on both Lake 1 and 2, all off the top. It was brilliant fun. We thought we'd make the most of this warm weather and get back down here. At the moment we're on the M25 bank. We've seen a couple of carp drifting along. I think this afternoon they'll certainly get more in this bay where it's in the shallow water. We're going to have a good look around the whole lake before we get started with the fishing, and let's hope we catch a carp.
Right then, so as you can probably tell, we stopped off at Tesco on the way down and bought about 8 kilos of their finest, cheapest, bestest mixers. Dog biscuits have got to be our favourite bait fish for drifting across the surface. They're super cheap, you can pile it in on a budget and the carp definitely love them. We've actually found a swim, I think it's peg 7 just behind us here, where there's a good few fish coming up. None of them actually taking yet because we haven't actually introduced any bait, but they're up near the surface and I'm sure they'll take a mixture or two. So we'll get down there and hopefully get them taking the mixers.
When we came a couple of weeks ago, it was weather just like this, and yeah, Cole got quite burned. We didn't listen to Mum when she said, "Put your sun cream on." But this time, we've learnt our lesson, and before I even get fishing and get distracted, I'm getting some on me now, because it really isn't good when the next day you're feeling horrible because your skin's all red and burnt. So I definitely advise putting some on before you get started fishing, before you get distracted, and then you won't get burnt.
So when it comes to rigs and tactics for floater fishing, you've basically got two options, either the free lining or fishing with a controller float. Now I would always choose the free line if it's possible. If the fish are within range, having nothing on the line to spook them or to scare them, just your hook bait flicking out in front of fish, that's by far my favourite and probably the most effective way of catching carp off the top. However, today the fish are feeding at range and there's no other option but to use a controller float on the line to give that weight and to cast the distance. So all I've done is I've taken my float, slid it straight down onto my 12-pound main line, tied on a little swivel that pops inside the end and locks it in place, creating a bolt, a bolt rig, but a floating bolt rig. However, if the line snaps or anything, it does just pop out under a little bit of tension and it will slide straight off your line, meaning it is a safe rig. Next, I've got my hook link. Now what I'll do is I'll take maybe 1.5 meters, 2 meters of line for this, tie a little loop in the end and thread on my hook bait of choice. Today I'm just using a small trimmed down pop-up, so I will slide that onto the rig, pop in a bait stop, tighten that down, and that allows me to then take the hook and thread that down onto the line and tie my hair rig with the bait as close as I can really get to the hook. When I'm fishing on the surface, often you'll see the fish just mouth the bait, and the tighter you can get that hook to the hook bait, the better. At the moment I've got a size 8 hook on. That's mostly because it's quite weedy out in front of me. I'd rather not go really small because I may end up losing fish. I'll then tie my hook link onto the swivel at the end of the float, and at the moment I'm probably fishing just over 1 meter hook link. The spookier the fish, the more wary they are, make your hook link consistently longer. However, the longer you make it, the trickier it is to strike and also the trickier it is to cast. Now last but not least, and this is actually quite important I find, is to take some Vaseline and just thread it onto the line. Just rub it on with your fingers. The reason for doing this is because Vaseline is an oil and it will help the line float right up on the surface. The worst thing is when you've got your float out there and your line starts sinking and your bait drags back towards you, and that will never be good presentation. Now with that Vaseline I'll concentrate it mostly around the hook and around the swivel, just because when they splash onto the surface, that's the areas that your line is most likely to sink. I'll also spread a bit of Vaseline up the main line, which will just keep it right up on the surface, meaning you can mend your line, and also when you strike it comes up off the surface that little bit quicker, putting you in contact with the fish. So there you go, that's the setup we use for pretty much all of our floater fishing when you have to cast a little way out into the lake. But just looking out over my shoulder at the moment, there is the odd fish coming up. They're not too confident at the moment. It may be quite tricky, but I'm not going to catch with the bait in my hand, so let's get it in the water. Right, so it's taken a good hour or so, but they are definitely coming up for the mixers, and they are actually getting a little bit more confident now as well. Finally got a bite. The surface absolutely erupted. It was the most epic thing ever. This is one strong fish. And that is why surface fishing has got to be our favourite way of catching carp. The thrill, the excitement of catching that. Tell you what, that is unbeatable. So we've returned to Farlow's after our absolutely epic session at the shop open day the other week, and it was well worth coming back. To be totally honest, I wasn't feeling too confident. We were looking out, not really seeing a huge amount of fish taking. But finally this one came up. We actually got 2 or 3 fish competitively feeding, and that was when this one slipped up. Typical for Farlow's, it's an absolutely belting scaly mirror. Absolutely love this place, honestly. The carp are something else, and the fact that you can catch them off the surface just makes Farlow's even better. Buzzing, Alex. Look at that.
Good skills.
I promise, Alex, you can have the next one. Yes.
A couple of weeks ago was the opening of the new shop here at Farlow's, and we were invited to fish here for 3 days, so we were really excited to get over here.
Alex, go to bed. We're going to Farlow's at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I should get some sleep really, shouldn't I?
It's flipping midnight.
We're going to Farlow's though, catch some carp hopefully.
We'll see. But remember, you'll only catch them if you're alive.
I know.
Get some sleep.
Yeah, I will in a bit.
Just turned into Ford Lane, which is the road that Farlow's is on, and we'll be there shortly.
When we first arrived, we did what we always do, and that's look around. We wanted to find some fish, and as it was a day pretty much like today, where it's really warm, we knew there'd be some fish on the top. And we actually found them in a bay around the back. It's actually a channel, which is really weedy, and there were lots of fish there, including loads of bream spawning, which I think the carp were behind them, slurping up the eggs. Anyway, we put in some bait there. Carl decided to freeline. I used a controller float, but I kind of regret using that float because Carl was definitely using the right method. First fish from Lake 1 that Carl was ever hooked.
Off the surface.
First fish from Farlow's Lake 1.
What a scrap, Alex. My arms are aching. Yep, got it. Nice. And if we can get, oh mate, it's a lump. It is a, just come off. That was a beast, Alex.
carp.
Well, after losing that one earlier in the reeds, I thought maybe that's our chance gone, but I saw this one drifting through, flicked the bait out, and it sort of edged its way up to it. I was like, no way am I going to get another chance. But yeah, my second fish of the session here at Farlow's. Not going too bad.
Later on that evening, the fish sort of moved out of that bay, and we were lucky enough to get a chance to fish a peg 61, which is quite popular we've heard, so apparently we were quite lucky to get in there, and we nabbed a couple of bites in there that evening. No. So I got two of my bottom bait rods out, and I thought there was a slight chance of getting another one on the top. Put a few more mixers out, saw a couple taking, lost one, and then I managed this. Oh, I'm over the moon. I'm gonna sleep well tonight. It's been a tiring day, but I'm well happy. Annoyingly, later on that day we had to move off of Lake 1 because those swims were needed for the open day. And we're a bit gutted because we knew there'd be a good chance for another big fish, but we made the most of a bad situation, fished on Lake 2, spommed out loads of mixers, got them taking really confidently, and yeah, we caught quite a few. Another brace of scaly carp from Lake 2 today. Oh, I'm loving this surface fishing. We actually changed to a pink pop-up rather than the brown one we were using on Lake 1, and it actually got quicker bites. I think because they're maybe a little less wary, as they're a bit younger fish in there, they definitely went for the bright one rather than just taking only what the mixers look like.
Number 14. Look at that! That is a beauty.
That's it, just come up behind it, grab it, the bloke just whizzed across the surface. Because it was the opening of the new tackle shop, we did have to sort of spend some time aside from the fishing, chatting to people, having a good time, just being social.
Well, it looks like all of the Fox boys have stolen our swim. They can't catch in their own swim.
In all, those 3 days were really prolific fishing, loved every minute of it, got plenty of bites. We in?
Oh my god. Big or scaly?
Scaly and big. Yes! Now we've both had one.
And yours is a scaly.
What a scaly monster. £26. You know what that means? I still haven't caught a fish out of this lake under 25 pounds. I love it when I get lucky like this. Oh, mental.
That is an old carp.
Yeah. Oh, it's heavy. The sun's just going down and I would love to stay the next few hours. Annoyingly the gates close at 8, so we're going to have to be off. But Colin and I have thoroughly enjoyed it today, catching a couple of really lovely carp, and including the session we did a couple of weeks ago as well. We've had a brilliant few sessions on Farlows and I'm sure we'll be back here soon. Anyway, better get reeled in and head home.